The new GTA Online weekly update finally has some incredible opportunities for players to pick up some of the excellent discounted vehicles that they may not already own yet in the game, but specifically for today on the show, I have another episode of my free vehicles guide for you. Yet again, we have some really solid vehicles here that you can jump into game for and potentially unlock both of them either today or coming up soon. And I actually think that these are some of the best that we've seen since I started this series a few weeks ago, honestly. We have an awesome tuners style vehicle that I think will throw you right into the world of Fast and Furious here, since it is based off that iconic Toyota Supra. Plus, we also have a top 10 supercar in the game featured as a free unlockable vehicle this week as well. We're going to be checking out both of these here today. I'll be showcasing to you how you can unlock them, as well as, of course, we'll be testing out their performance, showcasing their customization, and we're actually going to see if they're worth their salt or not. So thank you so much for clicking on today's video, and thank you for supporting the series so far, and let's get it started. Let's first talk about the Diamond Casino Podium vehicle this week, which is the Dinka Jester Classic. Now, this is available normally for $790,000 at Legendary Motorsport. It released as part of the After Hours nightclub update in 2018, and the Jester Classic pays homage to the 4th generation Toyota Supra, so you get that nice blend of nostalgic design, but I would say modern performance. It's so much fun to drive around the city. It features really strong acceleration, pretty good handling. It's capable of maintaining control through those sharp turns if you take them, but also it's a pretty smooth ride over all the road imperfections in the game as well. The only problem with this car is that it does experience slight understeer at high speeds, and it also has somewhat loose steering if you aren't careful. So while that could complement sharp turns that you take at a really high speed, what it does do is enhance the car's drifting capabilities in the hands of a really good driver in this game. And while it does match the top speed of the standard Dinka Jester, which is also featured back this week as a removed vehicle, it does have slightly weaker acceleration than the Dinka Jester, the modern one, and it's also rear-wheel drive, so you have to keep that in mind when driving this car. But let's go test it out on the track. Here is my Dinka Jester Classic, ladies and gentlemen. I have two. This is my second one. Of course, you gotta go with the Fast and Furious build. If you have a Jester Classic, that's like the first one I suggest you get. But if you want to pay for another one this week, or of course unlock it as your LS Car Meet Series prize ride, this is how I have mine built out. I love the livery of like the white Jester logo at the bottom, like right underneath the door. So I was like, okay, we got to implement some white in here with the seats. We went with olive green primary and secondary with a dew yellow pearlescent, and I feel like it really brings out that true green color with a little hue of yellow in the sun, so it looks really nice. Wheel choice, I think it complements the white well without being white rims themselves. They're actually just silver, but they look really bright. But you can see over here in the shade, they are just silver rims. So let's go take it to the track. As you guys know, we always have to go, you know, just around that loop. Let's go do it. Also, derp, I said prize ride before. I meant podium vehicle. I always get confused because sometimes I record the prize ride first when I'm actually recording, but of course I showcase it second in the video. Anyways, this is the podium vehicle for this week, so don't get confused. But nonetheless, we're gonna take it around our track, which is just up through here, make the right, make the right, make the left, go all the way around, weave through here, and we wind up back at this intersection here. Of course, we want to shoot for around 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to achieve it with this car. I think we can get pretty close. All right, so my stopwatch is ready. We'll start it and we will peel right off. The one thing I didn't mention in my review for this car, I think this is an amazing car that you should own here in GTA Online. The one problem is this car loves to hold the revs. It like does not want to upshift for some reason. And so if you go with max engine upgrades, I feel like you encounter this problem. If you go with one lower, it doesn't really do much, but maybe you just stick with like 1 or 2 engine upgrades instead of max at 4. You can make the decision. Right now I have it maxed out just to showcase what it looks like if you max everything out. I do that at least with every single car in this game, but you could see how you could take these turns in these corners. It just goes right around. It's just like the Tempesta we reviewed last week, where this car does not want to step out. It doesn't want to lose grip or anything like that. And especially when we go up these chicanes, this is kind of where you encounter a little bit of that loose steering like I was talking about as well. While the traction's great, you just need to make sure that rear end is planted to the ground, because this car, I don't want to say it throws a fit on you, but it kind of does. It'll kind of like disobey your commands. It's like not the most obedient vehicle, right? So you want to make sure that you slow down if you're either going down into a turn or up and around a turn, because you'll see we'll encounter that problem. But honestly, I'm kind of finding as well that if you let off the throttle, it won't be too big of a deal. I was checking out my clip and I almost crashed right there. I wanted to make sure that my microphone wasn't muted like last time we're recording and all that. Fortunately, I had to scrape the guardrail right there. This is the hardest part for every single car in the game. This is where I struggle with my own course, and you can see this car kind of just eats up the track. I mean, we're doing really well right now. So far, we're in a 1:40 pace. I think that's pretty good. We want to be over a 1:30 because we're basically about halfway through the course. This is another turn you got to watch out for on this track, just because of the fact that, honestly, I think when we showcase the Vagner, that it's going to step out on us there. It's like, there's no way to avoid it. If you're holding the throttle through that corner at all, the car is not going to behave the way you want it to. And that kind of goes for like anything. I don't think there's any single car that you can go full throttle around that turn, just because it's so sharp. You're going up the hill. It's like leaning your car the other way. You're going to lose some sort of traction. And let's see, there's no cars through here coming through, so that's nice. We almost crashed. I think we crashed with the Tempesta last week at that spot, but so far you could see, I mean, I barely use my brakes at all. Most of the time, so far, driving in this Dinka Jester Classic, I've just let off the throttle. I'm not even using the brakes. If I need to slow down, it's because, you know, I'm just dive bombing the turn, but a lot of times I can just power right through. I don't have to worry about losing grip, losing control. And I rarely have to brake. I'll just use engine braking. There we go, 2 minutes and basically 43 seconds. Even if we take the slow time, 2 minutes, 43 seconds. 2 seconds ahead of where I wanted to be. I wasn't sure if we were gonna beat the 2-minute, 45-second pace, but that puts this car at a very competitive spot, I think. The car looks great, of course. You know, the 4th gen Supra is probably my favorite. My dad actually owned one way back in the day when I was a kid growing up. It was such a sweet car. I kind of wonder if he never ended up selling it for his M3, like what he actually would have done to it. He didn't really do too many mods to it. It was mostly stock, but I remember we had such a great time driving around that car. So nonetheless, here's the Dinka Jester Classic. Now let's check out the LS Car Meet prize ride for this week. For our second vehicle, we have, of course, this week's LS Car Meet prize ride, which is the Dubach Vagner. And in order to unlock this one, you need to place top 2 in LS Car Meet Series races for 4 consecutive days in a row. So hopefully you've been checking off the requirements for that. This car is originally priced at $1,535,000, also available at Legendary Motorsport here. It was introduced during the gun running update in the 2017 Independence event. The Vagner, like I was saying at the beginning of this video, it is a top tier supercar. It's known for its excellent top speed. It goes 127 miles an hour. It's got probably the most impressive handling I've seen out of most of the cars in this game. Not absolute best, but pretty close to it. Since it was featured in my top 10 best supercars video, you know it's way up there in terms of performance. The Vagner has a really low suspension, so that's going to give you great stability around corners. The rear can lose a little bit of control if you're going around like bumpy surfaces or something like that, so keep that in mind. With its superb acceleration, that's what's going to allow you to quickly recover your speed post-turn, and also that's going to be especially effective on any sort of track with a lot of low-speed corners as well. Even in the high-speed corners, it excels because it's got great downforce and bump absorption, and also I would say it's got like a pretty stiff suspension overall, so it's great for hairpin turns. You know, sort of like the Tempesta we talked about from last week and the Zentorno previously before that. Those were also excellent cars. This one is just as good. In terms of design, obviously the Vagner is based on the Aston Martin Valkyrie prototype, and then to a lesser extent, you also get some elements from the Jaguar CX-75. So you get a really nice, sleek and modern look. The aesthetics of this car look amazing. If I were to compare it to any car in the game, if I just like absolutely had to, I guess I would say the X80 Proto. You know, the Vagner doesn't suffer from any of the problems of the X80 Proto, so you get less understeer with the Vagner, better high-speed cornering grip due to the downforce, you get stronger brakes, better traction overall despite it actually having a heavier weight in the game. Overall, this is just an excellent supercar that you need to unlock right now in GTA Online. And here is the Dubach Vagner, ladies and gentlemen. This car is incredible. So the customization and the paint job I went on here, this is actually, it's a crew color. So I forget the hex code, unfortunately. I made it a while ago. I honestly don't even remember off the top of my head. But if you do want to make your Vagner look the same, or you just like the paint job in general, nautical blue with an ice white or a cream pearlescent is going to basically make it look about the same. You'll get that shine, that white shine on it. The blue on this is just a little bit lighter than the nautical blue, but it's that same type of hue. So you can make it look pretty similar. But nonetheless, this is the Dubach Vagner. It's incredible. Let's take it to the track. Same thing, got my stopwatch ready. We are gonna take off, same exact course. We'll start, jam on the gas, and here we go. This car is awesome. I actually haven't driven it in a hot minute, so this is kind of like, not my first impression, obviously, but it's my first time driving it in a while, so I kind of forget how this car handles, and I feel like that makes for a more genuine performance review, right? Because now it's just solely based on the car, not my practice with it, you know, me getting used to the driving behavior of this vehicle. That being a top 10 supercar in the game, I'm hoping we can get around a 2:30 pace. I don't actually know if we're going to get there. If we don't get sort of into any sort of car crashes or anything like that, so far, judging off this handling, I think we can get very, very close to 2:30. I mean, imagine if we got below. We haven't gotten below 2:30 yet in any of these cars, but if we're going to do it, it's going to be with the top 10 supercar in the game, that being either this car or any of the other 9 I would say that I had on my list, right? So I'd say we're making pretty good pace right here. This is where we can really, whoa, that was very, very close. This is where we're going to be able to get ahead because the top speed's great on this car, and we'll be able to fly through these turns. Right now, we got a 1:05 on the clock. We can go flying around. I mean, no issue at all. No sort of wheel slipping. I want to make sure I slow down here because this just throws me off with every sort of car. This turn isn't too bad right here. Let off the throttle, go up the hill. There's always that car in the oncoming lane you got to watch out for. That car's always in my way, and you know, sometimes you cut around, you go off the track and spin out, or you try and go to the left of it and you crash into it. I couldn't really do anything right there, but nonetheless, that maybe took, what, half a second or a second off our time. Make sure you brake enough around this corner. Right now, we're at a 1:43 on the clock, and we're way past that stoplight, or not stoplight, but that stop sign that we came into on that straightaway earlier, so we're way ahead of the pace of the Dinka Jester Classic, and probably most of the other vehicles we'll ever talk about as either a podium vehicle or an LS CarMate Series prize ride. I think, wow, I'm actually very impressed with the performance of this car. Little bit of sliding right there, but that's not really due to the fault of the car. That's just the way the track is. You can see I'm going full throttle around all these turns. I barely apply the brakes. I'm barely doing any engine braking either. I'm just like not letting off the throttle, or if I need to, I will barely do it for half a second or something like that. This car just weaves in and out, man. It's got the type of downforce and traction that an endurance racer would have, like the Innis S80RR, LM87. Boom, dude, 2 minutes, 30 seconds exactly. I think if we didn't smash into that Ruiner 2000, you know, we didn't lose that much speed, but we did bump into it a little bit. You could see the damage on the front of my car. We would have been just under 230. We just hit 230 in like milliseconds, basically. So we were right on pace where I wanted to be. This is an extremely fast car. I think you'll absolutely love it. And the exhaust, listen to the exhaust. Delicious. I mean, this car sounds great, and it looks fantastic in my opinion as well. So I think we'll wrap up today's video right there. I don't think we'll ever have a free vehicles guide coming out on this channel where I'm like, oh, it's not worth trying to win, you know, spin the lucky wheel and win the podium vehicle. Maybe sometimes I'll mention that it's not worth going after the prize ride because of the requirements. I mean, this one, it's got kind of steep requirements. You gotta place top 2 4 days in a row, but this car is extremely worth it. It would be worth it if you bought it at full price as well for 1.53 million. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. If you guys did enjoy today's video, or you found the car performance and customization reviews helpful in any way, then make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at HazardousHDTV to stay up to date with all my GTA Online as well as Red Dead Online live streams. Really appreciate your guys' support on this series so far. I think this is my favorite one I've done because I'd say my driving was pretty good. I didn't really crash at all. So, you know, I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. I'm trying to bring the best content to you guys and the best driving that I can. I'm not the best GTA driver in the game, but I'm trying to be good, you know. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios, amigos.